Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
He's just a common man.
I actually feel like that's something.
What's that?
I actually feel like that's something more like Vader would come out to like. Speaking of fat guys, Louis Anderson passed away today.
Meatloaf did too.
Yeah, well, I heard Louis Anderson found out we were out of Meatloaf, and that's why he died.
Oh, brother, that's brutal. That's
too soon.
Too soon.
They both passed away today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Meatloaf, one of the great rock and roll singers, and then also was known for Rocky Horror Picture Show, so not too bad. And then Louis Anderson, who was known for Life with Louie, the cartoon, and being one of the worst stand-up comedians I've ever seen.
And the one white guy in Coming to America, because Eddie Murphy.
Yes, he worked at McDowell's.
Yeah, and they told Eddie Murphy when he was making that movie, you need to have a white person. And Eddie's like, okay. He's like, well, have Louis.
I've got the perfect guy for you, Louis Anderson.
And then I don't know, what do you always remember Meatloaf for most? I always remember for that song. I would do
Get Out of Hell. Yeah,
that's what I remember most for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all the girls wanted to play that at the high school dances when we were in school. Fucking horrible.
Oh, that sounds awful. So let's talk wrestling. We got
if we have
thing
to
here this week. So I had hit up people with a couple 531 ideas, and in the process, it looks like we might have done these two before, but we've done so many of them. So I thought, little novel idea. I got lists from just a few people, and we're gonna do like a super 531. So the subjects are Cody Rhodes, his greatest matches, and Edge, his greatest matches. And we're going to do Cody first, then we'll do Edge, and then we're going to compare each match and see who had the greatest match of the two of them.
Apparently, Cody found out what we were doing because he went on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night and literally listed down the reasons why he's better than Edge. Not Edge specifically, but the reason why he is an icon or whatever. He literally made his own list. So good for you, Cody.
And quick sidebar too, because I just want to talk about it. It has nothing to do with it, especially we're recording this. You were referencing the Dynamite that just happened. One of my favorite moments in television. I will tell you what I was
Tom
doing.
Moxley telling the fan to fuck off.
Yes. I just got to tell you, I got to set this up now. I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I'm going to watch it the next day because I got all kinds of stuff going on. And I just kind of have it on my phone. So I was like, oh, Moxley's the first segment. I'll hear what he had to say. And, I got off to the side. It's TBS. Me and AJ grew up at a time where, like, you don't swear really on TV. No. You better get those premium channels like HBO, Showtime. And so it's like, it's TBS. It's Andy Griffin.
I don't remember back in the day, Arn Anderson on Saturday night's main event going, fuck off.
Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit. I mean, he was great. I literally had to do a double check. Like, what did I just hear? He's like,
it's funny. It's funny. They had a huge rating for this. They had well over 1 million people. Their biggest rating since being on TBS.
Yeah. But it is, they got momentum going. Yes.
But everybody actually mentions that it was Sting's first time wrestling on TBS, stuff like that. Nowhere does it mention on any of the reviews that it was Jon Moxley's return.
No, we don't want to talk about that.
That might have popped the number a little bit.
Did you hear what happened? Did you hear what the guy said though?
No, I didn't hear what he said.
Okay, so I found out some fan, but it was basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, so forgive me because it's been a day. But he basically said, "Get that drunk ass out of the ring," and John heard him, and so John's like, "You go fuck yourself. You're a piece of shit," and that's why.
And the crowd agreed with him, so good for him.
Everybody agrees.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic stuff. And quite frankly, if you're going to ride somebody for being smart enough to know when they have a problem and go get help, then there's something wrong with you.
1,000%. All right. We did a little pre-show talk here. Let's get to the business at hand. We're going to talk a little Royal Rumble coming up after this, too. We're going to give you fans a bunch of stuff today. All right. So my first list, I got Scott from Voluntown. And this will be Cody matches. Cody versus Dustin, Double or Nothing. This is an interesting one, AJ. You'll pop for this. He's got Cody versus Mr. Brody Lee for the TNT title. Not the dog collar match. That one where Cody got
annihilated,
straight murdered.
Actually, to be honest with you, I could see where that would be one of the top matches just because of what Cody did in that match and how he got over Brody Lee.
1,000%. I agree. I was wondering if when I first looked at it, I kind of laughed and I thought, you know what? That he did something pretty amazing there, and not many people do that. So hats off. Cody versus Lukazu at the G1 special in the USA 2017. Cody versus Nick Aldis, All In. And I suppose the dog collar match against Brody Lee for the TNT title. I would have to put that in there as well.
No, it's solid.
Solid list. What do you got?
So I got Mr. Mike Flynn coming in first. He's got Cody versus Dustin at Double or Nothing. I think we can agree that was a hell of a match. Cody versus Nick Aldis at the NWA anniversary show. Cody versus Jericho from Full Gear. Cody versus Okada, G1 special. And Cody versus Omega versus Ibushi for the King of Pro Wrestling in 2018. I'm seeing a common trend here. I don't see any Stardust references or early Cody matches on any of these lists thus far.
There is one. No, there's no Stardust matches. There is one. Here, we'll go right now to it. This is Jesse from New Hampshire. He's got the Rhodes family versus the Shield at Battleground 2013. Now, he wasn't. Stardust was actually going to come a little after this, I think. Yep. But this was when.
It's a precursor to it.
Right. At this time, it's pretty cool because this is the thing where basically Triple H and Stephanie were firing people, and they had fired Cody and Dustin came back as Goldust to try to get his job, and Dusty did. And
it's really the last time you see Dusty on TV before he passes away, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he does he's something else to me in this, because if you go up and you look at Dusty versus Stephanie McMahon and just type that in, you'll probably find it on a promo. There's a promo where Stephanie was just killing people around this time on the mic. She would totally blast them and kind of walk them down, and nobody got anything. I remember, you remember this time period, she slapped the shit out of Big Show. He did nothing.
I know.
Yeah. I always
Dusty did not die, unfortunately.
He didn't do any of that shit. He threw her hand in her face. He looked legit pissed. And everybody, she said afterwards, I'd love to work with Dusty again. But they did it. So,
Yeah. Unfortunately, what we'll find a lot with the McMahon family is that, we love the way that went.
Yeah. That time. They ain't going to happen again. But that time, it was great.
Absolutely amazing stuff that we'll never see again.
Yes. Continue with Jesse's list. He's got Aldis at All In 2018. Yeah, we're going to see that a couple times here, I think, and this is short, because Aldis, to me, and Cody had great chemistry. I think that Aldis and Cody brought the best out of each other. I really like Nick Aldis and Cody for the NWA World Title. I also got Dustin. He's got Cody versus Dustin at Double or Nothing 2019. Versus Jericho at Full Gear 2019. And he's got Kingston versus Dynamite July 20. That was obviously Eddie's first time in the company. And obviously Eddie made a great appearance there. It was a great first time showing. And again, much like that thing with Brody Lee, Cody really good at getting some people over here too.
Yeah, no, Cody has done a great job, whether it's Aleister Black, whether it's Brody. He has done a great job of actually getting over other performers. Sammy Guevara, he's gotten over. I know people like to point out that he beat Sammy, but he got him over big time in that match.
I agree.
I have
One more list here. Yeah.
I have Randy Osgood. Not only do I have his list for this, spoiler alert, I happen to have his list for top boxers of the 90s also.
We are not doing that yet. So. Please continue.
I
don't know how you got that secret information. Get shit out of here.
But he's got Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes at AEW Double or Nothing. He's got Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis, NWA 70th anniversary show again. Cody Rhodes versus Brody Lee in the dog collar match. Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus The Shield at Battleground.
Yes.
And then he's got Cody versus, and this is actually going to be on my list also, Cody Rhodes versus Christopher Daniels, Ring of Honor the World 2017.
So great matches. I'm going to give you Zach's, and then we'll go to your list here. Zach has Cody versus Dustin, Double or Nothing. He's got versus Nick Aldis, the 70th anniversary show. That was the 2 out of 3 fall match where Aldis won back the title. Also the debut of Camille. He's got versus Brody Lee. And then he's got Cody and Skrull versus the Golden Lovers, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Honor Rising. And then he also has Sammy Guevara for the recently Holiday Bash, which, spoiler, I have that on my list too. That was, the Christmas show. And I thought there was something really fantastic about Cody and Sammy on that match, Christmas night. And you got David Crockett there to present the title. Pretty cool.
Nice.
And what do you got, buddy?
So I actually have 2 times on my list, actually, Cody versus Christopher Daniels. The world one is actually a fantastic match. It really is really good, and it shows what they can do as wrestlers. But if you like just a violent match where 2 wrestlers just beat the shit out of each other, tell a story, and it's actually the blow-off match for this feud, November 18th from Survival of the Fittest for Ring of Honor, you've got Christopher Daniels and Cody Rhodes in a Texas death match. And I suggest that you check that out if you haven't. It's Christopher Daniels at his best. It's Cody at his best. And the 2 of them just are absolutely amazing.
Cody was great in this Ring of Honor era too. Really good.
Actually, believe it or not, all of the matches that I've got on my list are actually Ring of Honor matches.
Okay, there we go.
Or that time period. Sorry, I shouldn't say they're all Ring of Honor. They're all from that time period. I've got him versus Kushida at the Global Wars.
Yeah,
that's the him. As you know, I'm a big Kushida fan, and him and Kushida actually are going for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship for this one, the title, and it's just a hell of a match. It's back and forth. You see Kushida go for his Back to the Future finisher, and Cody actually catches the Crossroads for the championship. So that's a hell of a match. Him versus Minoru Suzuki.
Okay.
That's now you would think that their styles don't necessarily go well together because it's not what Cody's known for. We think wrong. It's absolutely amazing. But Cody does do a good job of actually fighting with him. He does a good job of actually giving it back and forth with him, and it ends up being a hell of a match. Cody does win that one with the Crossroads. And then someone who's new to AEW, Jay Lethal, Cody in his promo this week mentioned Jay Lethal and did a great job of telling what a awesome job he does with his version of the cutter. Well, I think the reason why he mentions the cutter and so big is because that Final Battle 2016, him versus Jay Lethal is an absolutely outstanding match with both of them just trading back and forth. Cody even freaking at one point flips him off while he's laying prone because they've been beating the shit out of each other. It's just a hell of a match. And then my last one is Christopher Daniels, best in the world. That to me showed why 2 of them are 2 of the best wrestlers in the world in 2017.
I'm wondering if it's that lethal match you're talking about too. I think he threw a water on one of the announcers and insulted the crowd. He really went all heel on that one.
No, he did. It's the match where he goes heel, but they don't start off going heel.
Right.
They start off with having a regular wrestling match.
Gives him a low blow.
The ref goes down. He hits him with the low blow. He throws water at the announcers, flips him off while he's laying on the mat. Freaking all of a sudden, he went from being both of them babyface wrestling to Cody Rhodes just full-blown heel. And it was a great turn in the middle of the match.
I agree. Well, let me get my list out here real quick then. I got Cody versus Dustin Rhodes as well. This was just a tremendous match. Dustin, Cody bleeding, the emotion, people chanting Dusty. It's the match they should have got in WWE, but they never did, and they got to do it in AEW.
For whatever reason, the WWE just did not seem to want to pull the trigger on that match.
And they want, and they so didn't see something in Dustin that they actually let him out of his contract. And they don't always do that, as we know.
Yeah, the Rhodes family basically were begging to do this match at WrestleMania, and WWE just would not allow it to happen. I wonder if there's any regrets after seeing what they actually did.
I don't know if there is, but there should be.
Yeah.
Brody Lee dog collar match. I thought that was a classic. All in, Nick Aldis. I already said how much I feel about that. And I actually had Cody and Dustin versus the Shield Battleground. Reason why I like this match in particular is because the Shield was basically untouchable at this time. They weren't losing at all. And for Dustin and Cody, to get some wins on the Shield and eventually win the tag titles, this feud at all was just excellent.
No, and that was definitely a fun feud. It's and that could have made my list. My list, basically, I like matches because a lot of times Cody is given a hard time by wrestling fans about what he does in the ring and stuff of that nature. And I just felt like the 5 matches that I showed more of his versatility.
Yeah, I think Cody can go in the ring. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. And I also had Sammy, like I said, Christmas night TNT title.
I think he made don't get me wrong, Sammy's fantastic. If anything's going to make Sammy, it's being smart enough to leave his fiance for Ty Conte. But other than that, allegedly, other than that, it is the matches with Cody that really help cement him.
I'm looking down here. I see a lot of Cody Aldis matches. I see Cody and Dustin Rhodes. I feel like that's been on here a lot. And maybe a little bit of Cody Brody Lee, I guess. But it was funny because we have both Aldis matches. Both Brody Lee matches.
Well, that's the problem is that they actually weren't the same matches. Right. While they added people to it, they weren't the same matches. They were just combinations of those wrestlers.
So I say we'll go. What's up, producer Joe, in the comments?
Okay, first of all, that's allegedly. That is not producer Joe. That is Joe Seart.
Yes, edit that out. So, yeah, I would say personally, I would have to go with the dog collar match and
the tag match and probably the what was the other one there?
The other match is
Dustin
Aldis. Well, Aldis, yeah. Well, they mentioned Aldis.
Go with Aldis. Yeah, go with Aldis.
Yeah. And I would say I know a lot of people like that 70th anniversary show, but I like All In a little bit better. I just think it was more of an atmosphere.
Hey, you feel like they were all in?
Yes. I mean, the 70th anniversary is great. It's got kind of an old school vibe. It's 2 out of 3 falls. But to me, I just like
whoever this Joe guy is. He asked us if Cody's matches were his most recent ones.
His best matches were most recent.
I think most people did go towards the most recent ones. I think I was in the minority going in the 2017, 2016 area. But I could definitely say that overall it was not his WWF run that got the bigger pops.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, of course, like we said, Cody and Dustin would have to also make our list. And I got to say the first match I'm going to kick off out of there, rest in peace, would be the dog collar match. Because I love
me too.
Yeah. I love me some Brody Lee, but I think
I love that match.
Yeah. What's that?
I love that match too, but to me, it's
the story of the other 2 matches.
Exactly.
Right.
That's I 100% agree.
Yeah. I mean, with the NWA title with Aldis, he's going for his dad's title. He's going for that title that means something, and he's going at an event that him and the Bucks legitimately gambled on themselves on. It's pretty big time. At the same time, for me, I don't think it gets more emotional than going up against your own brother and the fans chanting for your father.
I think that not only is that, and Dustin obviously has had some big matches,
but
not only do I think that that's one of the top matches in Cody's career, but I think it's actually one of the top matches in all of Dustin's career. I mean, it's a close second, having the fact that we did see him in that Dustin. This is in that great moving truck match. That was fantastic. but this has got to take the number one spot.
Yeah, he's talking about the Blacktop Bully match that actually got him fired from
the one that got him fired from WCW. Yes.
Now so we're gonna go with Dustin and Cody as our number one match, but we promise we give you a little extra this week. So we're gonna do some top 5 Edge matches, and we're gonna get to a Rumble preview pretty soon.
We just give. It's what we do. We're givers. We're here. We work for you, and we just keep giving and giving.
You're gonna get it. All right, I'm gonna start off with Scott from Voluntown. He's got his favorite Edge matches to be Edge and Mysterio versus Kurt Angle, and I do not know if this was what meant to be.
Dave, I think if you're going to suggest that somebody is actually from Voluntown, you should say allegedly, because nobody deserves to be known as from Voluntown.
I should have read this beforehand. It's he has Kurt and redacted No Mercy 2002. I'm thinking he meant Benoit. All right, we're gonna go back to that. I'm gonna find out what that was.
He might mean Judgment Day. I know Judgment Day 2002 was Edge versus Angle.
I'm curious here. So No Mercy, I'll find this out. Anyway, we also have ENC versus the Hardys versus the Dudley Boys, TLC match, Mania 17. Edge and Christians versus the Hardy Boys ladder match, No Mercy 99. That one's the one that put them both on the map. Yeah. And same team as above, SummerSlam 2000. And then, so basically he's talking about another TLC match. And then Edge versus Eddie Guerrero, SmackDown 2002. At that time, SmackDown was having some of the best matches on television. It was basically with Edge, Angle, Guerrero, and Benoit, all taking turns.
In fairness, you can say at that time, but through the history of SmackDown, I think overall they've had the better matches than Raw.
Oh, without a question. I'm going to let you go to a list here. I'm going to find out about this No Mercy match, though.
I got Mike Flynn, who's allegedly not from Voluntown. And he's got Edge versus Orton versus Cena versus HBK at Backlash 07. He's got Edge versus Cena at Backlash 09. Apparently he really likes Backlash. Edge versus Angle at Judgment Day 2002. Edge versus Shelton versus Christian versus Benoit versus Jericho versus Kane at WrestleMania 21.
Oh,
and Edge,
that was Money in the Bank. They didn't specify that, I guess. But that's the Money
in the Bank. It was a Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania 21.
Yeah, that's the one Edge won. Yep.
And then Edge versus The Undertaker at 2008 SummerSlam.
And this No Mercy match, by the way, was it was probably just the phone fucking with him. But basically, it was Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle versus Edge and Mysterio. And that was for the inaugural SmackDown tag titles at No Mercy.
Yeah, I actually have that match on my list. That's
there you go. And continuing on, I got Jesse from New Hampshire. He's got SummerSlam 2000 TLC. I believe that's with John Cena. WrestleMania 2000 ladder match. He's got WrestleMania 17 TLC. He's got Cena TLC Unforgiven 2006. And that first SummerSlam 2000 that would have been a tag teams. My bad. And then he's also got Edge and Ray versus Angle and Benoit, but this is Survivor Series 2002.
I've got Randy Oscar straight off the farm.
Yes.
And we've got Edge versus Undertaker WrestleMania 24. Edge versus John Cena Unforgiven 2006. Edge and Christian versus the Hardys versus the Dudley Boys TLC WrestleMania 17. We've got Edge versus Eddie Guerrero WWE SmackDown No DQ match from September 26th, 2002. And in his number one spot, he's got Edge versus Kurt Angle, hair versus hair, Judgment Day 2002.
I find this interesting. Edge would go on to win what? I mean, I'm not even sure. I didn't look it up here. It looks like maybe like 11, 12 world titles in WWE. Yeah. Singles world titles.
Yeah.
But when we look back at his best matches, and there's some world title matches, but it's a lot of it's his TLC run still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
people love TLC. That's it's something that has stuck with them. Him, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys. I mean, all of their careers still, when they get asked about stuff, it's still TLC.
It is.
It's kind of like Mick Foley. How many great matches has Mick Foley had, and how many people just want to know about Hell in the Cell?
Right. Yeah,
People
Mick
aren't coming up
Foley-
to him going, "Hey, tell me about the boiler room."
Mick Foley, to his credit, I mean, that man pulled a good match out of Van Hammer.
Yeah.
Clash of Champions.
Allegedly.
No, he deserves credit for that one. I will take that from him. I don't know anyone else who's done that. So
No, that's it. Well, he had help from Abdullah the Butcher.
yes. I got Zach St. John. He's got Mania 17 versus the Dudleys and the Hardys. He's got Edge and Ray versus Angle and Benoit. He's got Edge versus Kurt Angle, Judgment Day 02. And he's got Edge versus Undertaker, SummerSlam 08. And Edge versus Mick Foley, Mania 22. And Mick Foley would consider this match his WrestleMania moment, too.
Yeah, and it is a hell of a match. That's I guess I'll go next with my list.
Yeah, as I say, I think yours is next, and that's it. And I got mine.
So No Mercy, Edge and Ray versus Kurt and Chris Benoit on my list. I know it's not always popular, but Chris Benoit, one of my all-time favorites. Kurt Angle, one of my all-time favorites. Edge, I absolutely got nothing but respect for, and then Rey Mysterio. Extreme Rules, I've got Edge versus Jeff Hardy in the ladder match from 2009. I think what Edge and Jeff Hardy did in that match was absolutely phenomenal. Even though it was just the two of them, not everybody else from the TLC matches. The two of them were at their best at that time, and I think they really showed it. WrestleMania 24, Edge versus The Undertaker. I know it's one of Edge's highlights to his career, being able to work with The Undertaker. I felt like they had great chemistry together. I think that for where Edge was at in his career and where The Undertaker was, they were both really still in their prime, and they looked absolutely amazing together.
Edge closed the show that year, too, with Undertaker at Mania.
Yes.
So that's a big moment, the main event Mania.
And ironically, we were just talking about it, WrestleMania 22, Edge versus Mick Foley hardcore match. That spear through the ropes, through the flaming table is one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. And I think helped to wreck Edge's neck. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And why Big E does that all the time, trying to spear people through the ropes, I have no idea.
He seems to do it all right, but yeah, it's a scary move.
It only takes being off by a centimeter to screw up the whole thing.
He's a big man too.
Yeah. I do have one more match here, and this is my all-time favorite Edge match. I don't think it gets enough credit when we talk about great matches that have happened in WWE. It is from SmackDown. It is the no DQ match. Him and Eddie Guerrero. You, especially knowing going forward what the future will bring once Eddie's passed away, and working with Vicky Guerrero, and looking back at it now, it's, to me, it's even more of a special match, because I think that that's where that bond started to grow between him and Eddie and the family. And him and Eddie Guerrero just had such great chemistry, as if Eddie didn't have good chemistry with everybody, but still.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
No, we talked about this before. I'm a belt mark. We both are. We talk about players.
Yeah.
And I know Eddie only had the belt one time, but when you look legitimately at my best in-ring performers, Eddie's he should be there.
Yeah, well, the stories that he told, every time he entered the ring, he told the story.
Great
no matter
match,
who he was wrestling, no
matter, it didn't matter.
Whether he was wrestling a mechanic in the ring or whether he was wrestling somebody who was a giant, no matter who he was wrestling with, there was a story being told.
Yeah.
And just a ring general. He helped build so many careers. We miss him daily. I can tell you, in the world of wrestling, because I can only imagine. I hope he wouldn't still be wrestling, but he would be producing. He would be helping with the younger generation, and I think that this generation could definitely use it.
All right, well said. I will finish up here. I got Edge versus Foley as well, Mania 22. I got the ladder match before that for Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank 21. That was Edge's first win at Money in the Bank. First Money in the Bank, I believe, too. Actually, yeah.
I think for his career, obviously, that's a big moment.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that kept me from pulling the trigger on it is just because there's so many people involved in it.
Right.
It wasn't
Multi-man match.
necessarily a showcase of his skills so much as it was a showcase of it just getting him over.
And I put Edge versus the Elimination Chamber, even though that wasn't necessarily a great match. That's where he won his first world title, and he cashed at the New Year's Revolution that year against Cena. TLC Mania 17, that's kind of my favorite out of the TLC matches, and I felt like we had to have a TLC on there. And then I got Unforgiven, Edge versus Cena in a TLC match as well, but a one-on-one TLC match, and I think this is one of John Cena's best matches of his career.
And I felt bad because I did kind of avoid the TLC matches on purpose.
Yeah.
Just because I knew that is where he obviously made his name, I kind of tried to stay away from him because I wanted to showcase kind of what he could do other than the TLCs. So that's kind of why I went away from the TLCs.
Yeah, I understand that. In fact, I mean, I'm going to put you.
I mean, he's continuing to tell good stories today.
Yeah,
what he does with the Miz, what he's done with Randy Orton, those two rookies, helping them really grow.
Yeah, I'm gonna put down his match with Guerrero on here. I think that was fantastic, and I was regretting I didn't put that on there. Like, I really started to remember that match.
If you have time today, and I know that you're a busy person, but if you have time today, go back and rewatch that match on the network. And I'm telling you, it's
a random SmackDown episode too.
It's worth taking the time.
It wasn't
to watch.
the main event, if I recall.
No, it was just a random match on the card, and it's just one that has always stuck out to me. And I was a little annoyed actually that somebody else had it on their list because I thought that was going to be my bombshell. Like, yeah. And then I was like, damn it.
TLC Mania 17 was on a few lists. I think we'll have that one. That's the famous one where Edge actually spears Hardy. When
he's dangling from the.
Yeah. I think
Mick Foley should actually, him and Mick Foley, that hardcore match should also make it.
I'll go with that. I was going to put the Cena one, but I like that one too.
Because there's not much story to it, I think I will eliminate the Guerrero one first.
And in the as great as the match is in the story of his career, it only means so much. If there's one great thing from that match, Edge was still young in his career, and I think it showed him how you can make somebody and how you can actually tell that great story in the ring. And I like to think that it just helped to build him for who he was going to turn into.
Yeah, not Cody Rhodes. Josh the board. Well, we talked about Cody. We're talking about Edge. But we're going to get to Cody again. So, but all right. So, top three. Then we're down to Edge and Foley, WrestleMania 22, and then TLC, WrestleMania 17. Now, to me, I think these TLC matches is just what he remembered for.
Which is scary that 20-something years later that it's what he's known for, with the amount of great matches that he's had, with the amount of, even with that time off, with that 7 years off, it's still what he's known for.
I want to give you something here, though, too. And I know this isn't like, we love those matches, but it's not necessarily our forte. We won't go out of our way.
No, usually. TLC matches are not my favorite matches.
But, and I think you'll agree with this, did they not just set the bar too high? Has anybody been able to touch them?
The fact of the matter is nobody has.
No.
If you ask people what the best TLC match is, we could do that top five. Let's do that sometime.
Yeah.
I guarantee you 17 will still win the number one spot.
Or a variation of Edge, Christian versus the Dudleys and the Hardys.
We've seen other companies try to do it. We've seen other.
And they're fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of them have the story, the setting, and it's just these three teams knew how to work.
And quite frankly, you've got three teams at that point that are up and coming teams that all are made from that match.
Yeah.
What other match are six people made from more than that match?
So that being said, I said this will be the ultimate 5-3-1. What a kind of comparison here. The emotion of Cody and Dustin, or the match that set the bar higher than ever for a TLC. What do you pick?
Personally?
Yeah.
Cody and Dustin. Just from a personal standpoint, to me, that meant so much to me watching those two. Mm-hmm. Not that it was a bigger match in the spectrum of things. Obviously, that TLC match is a bigger match in the spectrum of things. However, personally, just from an emotional standpoint and being a Rhodes fan and growing up, watching that family grow up. I mean, I remember Dustin as an 18-year-old kid on Saturday night's main event, for Christ's sakes, and now he's in his 50s. To be honest with you, I've got to go Rhodes with this one. And it's nothing against the other one. It's just emotionally for me, which one connects with me.
Yeah. Should take a vote for this.
I also prefer a classic wrestling match where two people beat the shit out of each other over using tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my!
I mean, these two beat the shit out of each other too, obviously, but this is the fact that we could see Dustin still go at this level.
Well, also the emotional storyline that was told
about the dad too, just Dusty being the fans,
and the fact that Dusty, unfortunately, because the WWF didn't pull the trigger on it, Dusty never got to see it.
And absolutely, Now, two more questions about these two. We're looking these two up here. Who had the better career? I think we're both going to say it's Edge at this point. Edge is main evented Mania.
He's 12-time world champion. I mean, how do you freaking? It's nothing against him. I mean,
nothing against Cody.
Cody just never was given those same chances.
Right.
And you got to remember, how long was Cody in the WWE for? Almost a decade.
Right.
And he just wasn't given those same opportunities. Now that being
said, when you look at what Cody does when he gets put into places like Ring of Honor World Champion, IWGP US Champion, NWA Heavyweight Champion. Like,
let's be clear, not having Edge's career, Edge is in like a 5 percentile,
right?
Of people that have had that ridiculous career.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking Cena, Hogan, Austin, that next level up, unless you're talking that level, there's not a lot of people in that.
Now, in a few years, when we talk about what these two meant for the business, that could be different. Cody's legacy might rely on the success of AEW.
Well, here's the difference. Edge hasn't changed the business.
No.
The business is what the business was with Edge. Edge is not a changer to the business. Right. He is a part of the business, and he is a tremendous part of the business. He's not a game changer. Cody Rhodes and what they've done with AEW and what he did as a free agent, when he chose to leave the WWE, become a free agent, bet on himself, go out there, go around the world like the free agent that he did, and then build AEW, he is a game changer.
We're not going to piss some people off this week because we're going to agree, but whatever. I agree because Cody kind of set the precedent. Like, he was the first guy that really started getting some traction for leaving and walked away from that big contract. And I say that, I mean, he was the first big guy to leave, not to go to WCW, but he's going to bet on himself.
Yeah, he didn't leave. When he left, there was no other large federation.
Right.
There were other places to go. Right. Ring of Honor, Impact.
Sure.
He didn't do that. He left and went and worked with everyone. Oh my God, it's Mrs. St. John's favorite baby boy.
What's up, Zach? Yeah, we're talking about little Cody Rhodes and Edge today. But on that note,
now that Zach's here, we'll see you later. No.
Let's talk about Royal Rumble a little bit this weekend, or next weekend, rather. Jumping the gun here, because it's funny. There's been some names batted around about potential people entering the men's Royal Rumble. And Cody Rhodes is technically, as we found out, a free agent. That being said, I don't see this happening. Okay, so you don't think this is a good chance?
No, God, no.
Do you think we see a wrestler? We know Mickey James is going to be there. Do we see another Impact wrestler or somebody possibly getting the men's Rumble?
So here's the funny thing. We got to be clear about something too. While Cody Rhodes is a free agent as a wrestler, he is not a free agent when it comes to being an EVP. He is still under contract as an executive vice president for All Elite Wrestling. He is not completely free and clear. Can he go and wrestle there if he wanted to? Absolutely. But you're talking about literally an executive vice president. And WWE came out earlier this week and they were asked in an interview, one of the higher ups for WWE, what they thought of the product in AEW.
Okay, I know.
And they called it trash. and said that we don't aim towards that clientele. We don't aim towards that audience. Basically, they just made it sound like it's all trash and pointed fingers at the fact that women are bleeding and stuff of that nature, which I thought was sexist. Oh, women can't have a match where they can bleed? They don't have a right to beat the shit out of each other and freaking, hey, you want to be sexist, WWE? You be sexist.
Okay, well, staying on task here. We don't think Cody's going to enter the role, but do you think we'll see maybe somebody from Impact, not besides Mickey? Will there be a men here, or will there be somebody else from another organization in the Rumble?
So I'm going to turn this on you. So for Impact, who do you think on the men's side, and we know who on the women's side would make a name, but who on the men's side would the WWF actually be interested in? Because I can only think of size-wise a couple guys who the WWE would actually be interested in, or big enough names to actually put in the Royal Rumble. Right. And Moose is one of them. Maybe
Morrissey, if they want to go back
they could bring back Big Cass to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously they would call him Big Cass if he came in. Mm-hmm. You could definitely see one of those two just because of their sheer size. But does anybody else have the big enough name other than maybe Zack Ryder?
Yeah. Well, that was the other one I was going to say. They would come back as Zack Ryder for this one spot. And actually, I'm going to throw one AEW name as a possibility to go in. He won't go in probably, but I'm just going to throw it out there. If there's somebody on AEW who is going to be in the Rumble, it's Chris Jericho.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think Chris Jericho has any interest in doing anything with the WWE.
No, but he did go on the Steve Austin show, and that was on Peacock, and WWE did promote that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think now after this little interview.
Yeah, that's the thing. He wasn't exactly kind on the interview with on this Broken Skull interview.
He was fine. I mean, I'm saying though, with WWE making comments too about.
Oh yeah,
that might make Tony Khan might not want to lend him out.
Yeah, and that might be a thing. I mean,
let me ask you this though: if you're AEW, if you're Impact, if you're any of these promotions, I guess maybe I'm mainly asking about AEW because Impact absolutely. Why, if WWE came to you and said, "Hey, we're willing to promote with you," why not take it
for AEW?
Yeah, even AEW, why not?
Because if you go and do that, it makes it look like you're lesser talent, and it makes it look like you feel like you need the WWE to promote your wrestlers. Okay, AEW, right? AEW, I think right now needs to actually stay away from that. They need to actually be their own entity and show, hey, we're on their level. Not only are we on their level, they put a show up against us and we whoop the shit out of them. That's the why.
NXT.
Oh yeah, no, and don't get me wrong, we know it's NXT.
Yeah.
But right now, at the end of the day, that not only did they beat NXT bad, they beat NXT so bad that everybody who ran that show is gone.
That's a narrative, though, too, to a certain point, too, though. I mean, at the end of the day, like Vince pulled the plug on that operation, and it's a shame. And but
not only did he pull the plug on it, he literally got rid of everybody who was responsible. Right. The only person left there is what, Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, and Hunter technically, but we don't know where Hunter is these days.
Yeah, but he's out with freaking whatever heart ailment. We wish him well. We wish you well, Hunter. Hope you're doing good. King of all kings.
Do you who do you pick for the men's Rumble right now? Gun to your head. This is tough, right? They haven't set anybody up.
They haven't. Maybe
I'll make it easy.
I need to know, is Lashley still going to be in the Rumble?
I'm going to say this is what I'll say. I'll give you two names. Big E wins the Rumble, and I'm going to say the other one would be Brock Lesnar. I say Brock Lesnar maybe wins his match, enters the Rumble, wins the Rumble, and then challenges Roman for the belt for a unification match at this year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, it definitely could happen. And that's the problem with picking a winner for the Rumble is not knowing who's actually eligible to be in it. It used to be easy because if you were a champion, you weren't eligible to be in it. Right. So therefore, that made it easy because
all the rules are off.
About this. Yeah, now that there's no actual rules to who can be in it, why not pick Roman Reigns? Maybe Roman Reigns doesn't. He wants to come over and win the Raw title. Now he's the head. Now he's the head of the title. Now he's the head of the head of the table everywhere.
Who do you think's gonna win? Gun to your head. I know we don't know, but just take a wild guess.
All right, so I'm going to pick one favorite, and then I'm going to pick a dark horse
Okay.
because I think that they're trying to shove somebody down our throat right now, and
Sami Zayn.
I'm not a big fan of his. So my favorite to win it is actually Big E. I think Big E's might win it. The other one who might do it is, believe it or not, Seth Rollins still might actually, even though he's got the match at Royal Rumble. I think he might also win the Royal Rumble. But my dark horse is fucking Damian Priest. For some reason, they are shoving Damian Priest down our throat each and every freaking week. The guy can barely work in the ring. His mic skills are atrocious. I cannot stand Damian Priest, allegedly.
Hey, Randy, we kind of covered this a little bit, but I was gonna say,
did he leave the room? Did he ask us a question and then leave the freaking room?
I think he did eventually, but
That's
my guess
son of a
is,
bitch.
I think that, all right, I'm gonna say we don't see someone from the men's side on Impact.
I don't either.
Yeah, okay. I think it's just gonna be Mickey. I think they want Mickey. There was a story there.
I think they want to create the new narrative of Mickey coming in, then making amends, and freaking her leaving without the garbage bags. They're whitewashing the history.
I think so. Let's get to the women's rumble.
What about seeing now? You could see somebody from the NWA. If Mickey's coming, maybe you see Nick Aldis in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Will we see somebody from another promotion in the men's rumble? How about that?
Does NXT count?
No, we'll see people from NXT.
If it was going to be anybody from another promotion, I really think the odds-on favorite would be Nick Aldis at this point.
Okay. My guess is I'll say we won't. I don't
think we will either. I'm saying if I had to pick,
they just don't like to do it. I'm so shocked that we're still doing. We're getting Mickey. I can't believe it. But
only because the only reason that they're willing to do it with Mickey is because they feel that they created Mickey.
They created Mickey, and I think there's a story here which is why Mickey is a dark horse of mine, despite working for a company, because this story.
Mickey could win it.
Yeah, she comes back to revenge this. She goes to Mania. I could even see her putting the belt on, and then they job her out for Money in the Bank or something. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a story here to be told, and I kind of wonder the backstory about this, because if you remember when this went down with her getting fired in the trash bag and other than that, Stephanie McMahon seemed legitimately upset about this situation, and she, I think, had personally tweeted Mickey and kind of went to her. Mickey didn't seem too receptive at the time, but obviously,
how receptive would you be if your stuff was left in a fucking garbage bag in the back door?
I'm not telling you she was wrong. I get it, but and Mickey has since said that they've apologized and we've made amends, and that makes
especially since Mickey on her last run basically came in and made everybody that she worked with.
Yeah, but I will say my favorite to win it right now, because again, I mean, and despite the fact they did that little thing with Lita and Charlotte, which no, not a fan. I don't know. I like Lita, but I don't see Lita in a world title situation. I say Belair is the favorite to win it right now.
Lita, I love Lita. I think Lita is one of the best women. I think she helped build the women's originally, but she's long past her prime. When's the last time she's actually worked regularly? And to come in and work at the level that Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, that those guys work at is not something you can just be off for 10 years and do.
Agreed. So who's your favorite to win it? I got Belair as a favorite.
I think Belair wins it, and then I think it's Belair versus Becky at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think Mickie James is our dark horse, though.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why not? That's I can actually. It's a dark horse that could happen.
Yeah.
Do you have a dark horse for the men's?
I'm not happy. I'm not crazy about it. That's why I'm a fan. But Lita also is a dark horse too, by the way. Just because they did that thing with Charlotte.
And they changed plans and flew her in to do that thing with Charlotte.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
But do you Alexa Bliss could be a dark horse too, especially with everything that's going on right now, for her to get another shot at freaking Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Now, go ahead.
But that being said, do you have a dark horse for the men's?
Yeah. Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I think he just shows up.
Baddest man in the federation. He's my dark horse.
Okay. You want a real dark horse then? You want
Yeah.
someone like who would be a big
Dude, I
upset?
picked Damian Priest as a dark horse. If that's not a
All
dark
right,
horse,
I'll match you. Braun Breaker.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Comes up out of nowhere.
He did a good job of talking to the crowd this week at NXT too, because a lot of them were saying we're chanting at him about his family and stuff like that, and he did a good job of responding and keeping it classy. So
Another
good
guy
for Braun Baker.
I'd like to see in the men's rumble, now that we're backtracking a little bit, would be Gunther, aka Walter. I hate that.
I would
Walter
love to see Gunther Storm in that'd be fantastic. That's who's in your research department that doesn't realize that this is an actual Nazi villain from World War II?
I don't even want to talk about this. Let's go.
Were they watching Texas wrestling? Were they watching old Fritz von Erich stuff? We're like, you know what would really pay off today? Let's use the Nazis.
Yeah. Let's get to the big world title matches. Seth versus Roman. I'm glad they brought Seth in. You ain't going over Roman. This is Roman all day.
I love Seth right now. I think Seth's character is fantastic. I don't know how entertaining you find it.
It's a little weird. We're gonna do a heel versus heel, and the other match is kind of a tweener versus tweener, by the way.
Well, the funny thing is Seth is still so far full blown heel
right
on Raw, but he's been playing the babyface on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it's not every time in the same federation that you can play face and heel.
But we got Roman, right? This has got to be Roman.
I think Roman's going over.
Yeah, I heard something.
Roman's got to have the belt until WrestleMania. He's got to.
I agree. I got Lesnar over Lashley, but this one wouldn't surprise me as much as Seth. I think Lashley has a shot.
If Lashley goes over,
Brock enters
your pick. Brock Lesnar is winning the Royal Rumble,
right?
And we're getting Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
I agree, but I'm going to say Brock retains.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
How about Becky Lynch and Doudrop in?
All right, final match. Yeah, Becky Lynch, Doudrop in. Becky. It's not. I like Doudrop, formerly Piper Niven, is fantastic. And if they let her make a good showing, this will be a great match. But at the end of the day, Becky's the bigger star and has been booked as such.
Absolutely, and she should continue to be. It's interesting to me because it's the first time that I can really think of that with that much of a size difference, that the heel is going to be the little one.
Yes.
So it's kind of intriguing there. But it's definitely a hell of a match.
I will say I'll close with this though. In terms of who I want to win, if I had my way.
Oh, you want Doudrop?
No. I'm talking about this whole card. Yeah. Who I want to win more than anybody, I would want Mickie James to get that win if I could pull this off somehow.
More than anybody, that's tough. I would like to see Mickie James win, but to be honest with you, the person who I would like to see win more than anybody is somebody like a Sami Zayn or a Kevin Owens.
We have one more match actually. Mixed tag. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Maurice and Miz. I'm gonna go with Edge and Beth, but I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I think it's going to be Edge and Beth. I think they're setting up for before WrestleMania. I think at some point you're going to see Edge and Beth versus Becky and Seth Rollins.
I'd be happy if Beth ended up entering the Rumble and won.
Beth could.
I wouldn't be upset about that at all.
No, absolutely not. But Beth is freaking. She looks in as good a shape as ever. But anybody who knows Beth Phoenix knows that she's in the gym all the freaking time.
Yeah. All right, folks. We've been going on for almost an hour. This is the Working Fans podcast. We gave you plenty today. You're welcome.
You know why? Because we do the work so you don't have to.